Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Channel 7's special live coverage of Hudson's Implosion. I'm Guy Gordon.
And I'm Joanne Purton. We are now just about 15 minutes away from the blast that is going to bring down one of the most enduring landmarks in the city of Detroit. And
certainly one of the most beloved. This is a party that we are at here. There's about 400 people to watch this. Part party, part wake, because this is a bittersweet day for many people.
Saying goodbye to a great deal of history, but also, as you mentioned there, looking forward to the future and looking forward to what that ground there, that area there can hold. And I think that's why some of these people sit here today and have smiles on their faces. But real bittersweet day, I think.
And so that sets the mood for you. Let's tell you where we are. We're atop the parking garage across the street from the Athenaeum Hotel. And as you can see, there are several faces on several levels below us. We're going to wave at you. You are looking at us from the First National Building, and that will be our location for the better part of the next 15 minutes. And for those 15 minutes, about that amount, we'll have this beautiful old building behind us. Certainly it was one of the most fashionable shopping addresses in Detroit in its day.
It's going to look odd in 15 minutes, isn't it, without that landmark right there. But the rubble will certainly be high. We may even be able to see that. Yeah, 5:45, it is scheduled to come down. Really destined to make history for a number of reasons. First of all, this is the tallest building, 25 stories, that has been imploded or will be imploded at least to this point. So that is making history.
And it's four buildings in one, and that's why it's so difficult.
It's also the largest steel structure ever to be brought down this way as well. It's going to take more than a ton of explosives to implode the building. It's an operation that I find hard to believe here will take just 35 seconds to take down this building. We're bringing you more views of this building, of the implosion, than any other station in town.
Indeed we are. You see our shot there from Chopper 7. You've seen what the shot is from high above the First National Building, which is probably the best vantage point of all. Kim Adams is up there. We'll be talking to her in a few moments. Also, we think that probably the best view, as I said, is this one where Kim is. Also, there's another vantage point as well, and that's over at the Opera House.
Yes, and that's where Val Clark is going to be today, talking to some people there. Lots of people have gathered there as well. So we will be checking in with her in just a few minutes as well for that shot.
And perhaps the most interesting shot is the blast cam. This is on the west side, if we can see it, of the Hudson's building. There you see it. It is just below the building point. Now, the building will be falling in the direction of this camera. This is an unmanned camera. We should point that out. Nobody's going to be hurt by this. But you will see the debris come tumbling down, if only for a moment. We fully expect to lose that camera to this event, but we're going to be giving you an interesting picture in the process.
Yeah, we'll lose that camera, all right? Probably in about a half a second. We do want to say, if you're watching the Iowa-Wisconsin football game, don't panic. You can see that we will be showing you the game down in the corner of your screen.
And it will be appearing there in a moment, so you won't miss too much of the action, and we'll be returning to the game immediately after the blast. And if for some reason there is a delay in the implosion, then we will make sure to go back to the game. We will not interrupt the game for no reason. We're trying to be as sensitive to our football viewers as we can on this day. Now, when Hudson's does come down, we're talking about a 25-story building. 80% of it is air. When it falls, it will kick up a lot of debris and dust. There will be quite a cloud. And so the weather and the winds become very important factors here. And to check all of that out for us is Kim Adams. She is high atop the First National Building. Kim?
Well, it's a little bit windier where I am, simply because I am literally on the ledge of the First National Building, 25 stories up. Dad, pick Mom up off the floor for me. I'm okay. We do have strong winds, though. They're out of the southwest, and they're blowing about 20 to 30 miles per hour, which means most of the dust and the debris will be carried off to the northeast. Places like the Gem Theater, the Detroit Athletic Club, also the Music Hall will get the majority of the dust. We've noticed that there are some people that are gathered outside the Gem Theater. They've not moved those people, but they are on the northeast side of the Hudson's building. And again, that's where we're expecting most of the dust and the debris to be carried. But aside from the winds, it is a gorgeous day. Visibility is endless. There's not a cloud in the sky, which is good news as well, because they can actually see the tops of the buildings because there's not a low cloud deck that they have to deal with. So it is nice out here. The wind conditions, again, out of the southwest, about 20 to 30 miles per hour. Where I am, again, that's 25 stories up. But that could change, and they will probably get a little bit weaker within the next few minutes or so. They've weakened considerably. We got here about 3 o'clock this afternoon, and they were much stronger. And the people, again, over by the Gem Theater, they will probably be covered in dust by the time they leave, but I'm sure it will be worth it for them, because while this is a bit of a sad occasion, a lot of people are excited as well, and I'm shaking, but I'm not sure if it's because I'm excited or because I'm scared to death. Joanne?
That's very true. I understand the emotions, especially from where you are. Thank you very much, Kim.
We're joined by a gentleman. He doesn't appear to be shaking. It appears to be very cool and collected.
No. I'm very relaxed because we've got a very good professional team of experts. They've been planning this. These guys are internationally qualified, and it's proper that it's being done here. We're going to start a brand new downtown that will match our vibrant neighborhoods. We'll be a complete city.
It's a wonderful day. I know it was not an easy decision. We have to let you go in just a second here, but this was not an easy decision for you to make.
No, it wasn't. But guess what? Thanks to what you all have been able to capture, the memories and everything, and going back in, and you should know how many people have been turning their VCRs on and watching your commentary and capturing the nostalgic memories that we all have. And you've brought back a lot of good memories, and we're never going to forget that. But at the same time, we've got to build a future for our children and our grandchildren, and that's what's going to happen when the building comes down.
And we don't want to hold up that future, so we'll let you go.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mayor Dennis Archer, who is among the many dignitaries here today to watch this. He is the man that will be pushing the plunger in a few moments to get this started.
People over at the side here, hurrying him along.
We're going like this.
Please stop talking to the mayor. He's got work to do, and we certainly want to make sure that the implosion goes off as planned today. Now, the city has been telling people that they didn't really want them to come down to watch this. I think just probably for a number of reasons. They have blocked off a 3-block area so that people can't get too close because of the debris and all of that. But they did want people to stay home and watch it in the safety of their living room, which if you're watching us right now, that's what you're doing, and we certainly appreciate that today. The best seat in the house, I'd say. But needless to say, a lot of people did show up to watch this today, understandably so, I think. And so we want to send it up to Captain Dennis. He's got a bird's eye view, perhaps a great seat today to watch all this. He's got a shot of the crowds and everything else from high above Metro Detroit and the historic Hudson's building. How's it looking from up there, Dennis?
Well, Joanne and Guy, it's a very interesting picture from our vantage point, and the thing that we're keeping an eye on more than anything is the amount of aircraft that decided to arrive on the scene. Not only news gathering helicopters like Chopper 7, but also the Detroit police are here, and a number of other airplanes are circling above as well, and I suppose the skies are going to get a little bit busy here. So we are picking a position here a little bit northwest of the downtown area, down a little northwest of the Hudson's building, kind of where Castech High School is, and that is where we're generally located here with Chopper 7. And the good news is we can do that and hover in this high altitude about 1,500 feet above the ground because we have such a strong southwesterly wind. So for our vantage point, from a flying standpoint, this is going to help us to give you a picture of what it looks like kind of down Grand River towards the building. And Brian Smith is the videographer, and he'll keep an eye on how the building drops and to give you the best angle that we can from this vantage point. We're going to keep an eye on the aircraft above. We did see some crowds, a number of them. We see some in boats as well, trying to get the angle between the cement plant and just east of the Renaissance Center to look toward the building. That's an open shot, I would think, from the river, and you can see the initial collapse, I think, of the Hudson's building from there. We see them all around the building as well, a little closer to the Fox Theater, a large crowd there, cars parked on top of the Cobo rooftop, cars parked on the service drive of the Fisher Freeway right around Woodward Avenue. So there's a good crowd here. We're going to stay where we are here northwest of downtown Detroit near Castech High School. Give you a great shot from Chopper 7 in the moments ahead. It's a beautiful night for it. See what happens. Live from Chopper 7 northwest of downtown Detroit, Dennis Newbacher reporting. Joanna Guy, back to you.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Now, as Dennis mentioned, a lot of people have come downtown. A lot of them are gathering at the foot of Woodward at Woodward in Congress. That's where Channel 7's Chris Lawrence is standing by. And Chris, I think that everybody that I've seen today has had a camera in their hand. This is going to be one of the most photographed events in Detroit history.
This may be one of those photographs that's on every person's living room table in the entire metropolitan Detroit area, Guy. I know that the city did discourage people from coming out, but as you can see, a lot of people said, well, they just had to see it in person. We're talking about all kinds of people, some old enough to remember the glory days of Hudson's, others too young to remember it, only remember it as a crumbling husk, a shadow of its former self. But they've all come out here today to see the building finally come down, and if we can peer out over the trees, we'll get a pretty good look down here on the ground. Back to you.
The beginning of redevelopment and rebirth of Detroit's traditional retail district. The Campus Marshes project is one of the best development opportunities in the United States. It has already generated tremendous interest. In time, it will transform Detroit with new offices, new stores, new restaurants and cafes, even a new home for the Soldiers and Sailors Monument in a new public park. As we reflect one last time on what the Hudson's building has meant to Detroit, Let us remind ourselves of the good times, the cherished memories. We know that they will live forever. No one can ever take them away. But the task before us is to put a great city's downtown back on its feet, to forget the limitations of the past and embrace the possibility of Detroit's present and Detroit's future. Let the future begin. Thank you.
Mayor Dennis Archer talking about Campus Martius. That's going to be an unfamiliar term for today, but you'll be hearing a lot about it in the future because that is what is intended to replace the Hudson's building, and we'll be telling you more about that in a few moments here on Channel 7 after the implosion. We'll give you a look at the future as well.
The future of Detroit, as he says. A lot of people coming to say goodbye, and people have been gathering all over the city to say goodbye. You know, workers at the building started setting the explosives for this. I believe it was last Thursday. This is a huge job. 25 stories, 1,100 charges that they set all over the place to make sure that this was brought down the way it had to be brought down. And a little bit earlier in this week, we got a look at it, and it's really amazing to see 1,000 charges needed to be placed. As we mentioned earlier, the tallest steel building in the world. Right. And what I read was that they didn't have blueprints for the building, so they had to go in and figure out exactly where all of these charges needed to be placed.
Every piece of structural steel needs to have some shearing on it for that to fall the way they want it to fall. So every one of those 1,100 charges is going to shear a very important beam, and they're quite worried about making sure that this falls in the proper direction.
Yes.
As you might be able to see on the east side of the building, it is very, very close to the people mover, about 12 feet from the people mover track. So that's on the east side of the building. So they're going to try to make it fall towards the southwest. And that means that what you're going to see after Mayor Dennis Archer pushes the ceremonial plunger, there's going to be about a 9-second delay,
right,
is that you will see a charge in the southwest corner go off, and then they will go off sequentially around the perimeter. The reason they want the southwest side to go first is because then it will pull the northeast corner in towards it, away from the people mover, which could be a very expensive mistake if it hits that track.
You mentioned expensive, and I think that it bears bringing up the fact that there is a $100 million insurance policy that was bought because of this, just in case. I mean, you always have to say just in case with things like this, in case things didn't go perfectly. But there's also what is expected to happen is windows around the area. When you're talking about buildings and the people mover, as close as all those buildings are to this Hudson's building right now, you've got to beware the fact that there will be windows coming down, and this is why earlier this week people were boarding up their windows all over the area just to make sure that hopefully they could minimize the damage done to their stores. But if there is damage, I know that there will be people on hand to fix that damage for those store owners as soon as possible.
Kim Adams might have mentioned, the cloud deck was very important because if you have a low cloud deck, then you get a lot of echoing and you get more damage because we're talking about quite a sonic pop that we will hear today. And in fact, I was told by one of the demolition people that it's going to be a lot louder than you guys expect. It's not going to be just a crack like you've heard, because he says videotape, when you watch these things in person, it's much louder than it is on the videotape later when you show it on the news.
I would think. So I read that it was going to be as loud as a concert. I think it's going to be a whole lot louder.
Probably like a Who concert, right? Or the Stones, something big. They are getting ready to say goodbye. We don't know quite. We're about a minute away from the plunger being pushed. If we've got a shot of that, perhaps we can see it. Again, this is not the, there's a shot from Chopper 7. As we said, this is a ceremonial plunger. It is not wired in to the immense control pad.
Right now, Sue.
There you can hear the sirens behind us. I believe that's a 1-minute warning.
1 minute warning away, and how different this skyline's going to look without this historic building here.
In about a minute, 35 seconds.
Yeah, well, we've got the one shot that you see right there. Just a reminder, we call that our blast cam. Not far from the building at all, unmanned, of course. People can't be within a 3-block radius. You will see, if only for a second or so, before it gets crushed by all the flying debris, the unbelievable shot from that blast cam after the explosion comes down. We are getting very close right now. I believe less than a minute away, or just about a minute away, as thousands of people gather all over the city to watch this historic moment, really. Over 100 years that building has stood. A lot of people have unbelievable memories from there.
The mayor had requested that he was going to auction off the right to push the plunger to the highest bidder, and he was hoping to raise $150,000 for the Good Fellows, which of course makes sure that no kiddies go without Christmases. But unfortunately, there were no takers because it's a double-edged sword. If you know, a company might do it for image building and for public relations, but there is some negativity about this. There are some historic preservationists that are not happy that this is happening today. And there is Mayor Dennis Archer.
Getting ready.
He is ready. Just to give you a couple of quick fun facts to know and tell about this incredible building behind us. It is the tallest department store in the world. 76
elevators, all manned, of course. They had the one guy in charge and women on every elevator helping you know where you're going, telling you what was on every level. 48 escalators as well.
And let's go back to Mayor Dennis Archer. 7, 6.
4, 3, 2. Dennis. 4.
Kiss it goodbye. And you can't see what's behind it.
No, you can't. It is overwhelming to see that.
There's Chopper 7, and you can see a little bit of what's left. The rubble beneath it will be about 3 or 4 stories high, and it was as loud as they told us it would be.
Absolutely.
You saw the birds fly out of the trees the minute it started. And there is quite a cloud. It is moving to the east and a little bit our way. You are talking about 660 million pounds of debris. And hopefully we'll be able to get a shot of this from our blast cam as soon as we can re-rack that tape for us. Point of the blast cam. Well, as you can see, night has fallen here at the Hudson site. The ash and the dust cloud, and I'm going to put this up because I don't want to breathe it, and I hope you won't take offense at that. But as you can see from the blast cam, it fell on one side and then the other.
It went all over the place, as you can see. City blocks covered in this right now.
Indeed. And let's go to Channel 7's Val Clark. She is standing by. She is not. Oh,
we're going to watch another view.
I'm sorry. This is another view from the Opera House.
You bet. We got it. We got it.
This is from the Opera House. This would be from the northeast corner. This is the last building to go.
You're going to throw it
Dennis Newbacker's up in Chopper 7. Take it for a moment.
Go ahead, Guy and Joanne. I don't know how you could talk down there. That dust looked like it actually choked the top of that parking structure for your inability to talk or try to get some words out. I can surely understand that. You can see from our angle here, too, we're now just east of downtown Detroit, and you can see that the dust has moved a good distance away, and the fact that this dust cloud is actually gone as far as I-375. Just to give you a little bit of a picture here, we're looking kind of at the top. This is actually like what it would look like if you're flying on top of a cloud. And as the dust kind of went through the city, we could kind of watch it from Chopper 7 move up and down those canyons, those areas in between the buildings. And it was really something to see how people were starting to run away from the dust as we made a move with the helicopter around the city. Now, we're right now at the I-375 Fisher Chrysler interchange near the old Stroh's Brewery. That gives you how far the smoke has gone from here. Now, it's gone directly from the building up to the northeast a little bit. Anybody that's in the Fox Theater area down towards the Fisher Freeway is in fine shape. In fact, a lot of folks pulled off of the freeway just about the same time that this blast occurred, And they are kind of parked along the freeway, parked along the service drive, actually parked in the same area where the new Tiger Stadium is located. And that's where they sat to watch the vantage point, because that was a clear area. The other clear area that you could see from our vantage point was obviously out in the river. And now these people that are out in the river that are just kind of east-northeast of the Renaissance Center, they can see the smoke now, or the dust actually, that is now blowing from a distance away from them toward the northeast. Now we're just to the north, over where the Detroit Medical Center complex is located, kind of looking at the new Tiger Stadium in front. There's Woodward Avenue a little bit to the right, and also you can see the Fox Theater, and you can see where the building was just beyond the church there. You can see a crowd way down inside there. I think Brian can maybe zoom in. You can see the crowd along the Woodward Avenue corridor right there. So that gives you an idea a little bit, Joanne and Guy. And you get a little bit idea what a picture looks like, at least from our vantage point. We don't have to wear masks up here. I'm kind of wondering, Chris, what you've had to do down there on the ground. What does it look like from your vantage point, Chris?
Well, Dennis, I'm giving you the camera's viewpoint. You don't need to see me right now. What you need to see is all this dust finally beginning to settle in parts of Woodward. You can see people with their dust masks on. A lot of people just covered in soot and dust. It just was pretty amazing. I don't know if you guys can take your dust masks off for 1 second just to talk to us. Was there anything like you expected?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a lot better than Howard Johnson a couple years ago, which was great. And just look up, man. There's dust everywhere. It's cool.
Could you believe how much dust actually billowed out of Woodward?
It was great. Yeah, there was a lot, and it was neat.
Are you glad that you did have your dust mask on?
Oh, yeah. They couldn't see anything for a couple seconds. Everyone else running.
I saw you taking pictures. Did you get the shot you were looking for?
Oh, yeah. I stayed still there that last minute. I loved it. My heart went boom, boom. And the cloud of dust was awesome, like nothing I've ever seen in my life.
All right, as you can see, people very, very excited here on the ground, just kind of shaking some of the dust off and everything. Come on back in a few minutes. We're going to see what it's like up with my friend Val Clark. Val, what's it look like?
Hey, man, why aren't you at my house?
Take my word for it. Prior to the implosion, we had an incredible, crystal clear view of the building, one of the best in town. Best for several reasons, not only the view, but we are inside, and so there's no concern over dust or debris. I have to tell you, when it first started, though, we could feel it, we could hear it, we could see that shaking. The building started shaking, and people actually got a little frightened. I found myself backing up just a little bit. And then after the implosion and that huge cloud of smoke, it started moving towards us. It is bittersweet. Well, a lot of people here, it's more than bittersweet. It's actually bitter. They are very unhappy about this building coming down. You tell us your thoughts.
Well, I think this represents a clear day for Detroit, and I think we need to really look forward to the future here, but also looking at our new buildings, our old buildings, and really trying to make them fit. I think this should not happen in the future, and we should be looking at the Book Cadillac, the Statler, all the other buildings that are slated for demolition, and be looking at them a little bit harder to see if there's any potential reuse.
You felt that the building could have been saved?
It's not so much that I felt that the building could be saved, that I just felt that we didn't exhaust all of our efforts to look at a potential reuse scenario. And I really think that to this day, we should hope that there is not an empty parking lot on this site. I mean, that's the real crux here. I mean, hopefully Campus Martius will happen and this project will go forward as expected, and there won't be a vacant lot.
All right, thank you so much. One lady here is actually wearing a black armband. That's how concerned she is about this historic building coming down. How do you feel today? And tell us why you didn't want to see it go.
I'm heartbroken. I'm a historian, and this building had great potential. The city of Detroit didn't give it a fair enough chance. There were developers who wanted the building, and unfortunately the city turned them away.
And when it came down?
Tears. I don't know what more to say. I'm still very sad and very heartbroken over the whole thing. I never shopped there either.
All right, thank you so much. Another reason that this is so sad for folks here, the Detroit Opera Theater, of course, at one time folks had given up on it. It's an historic building. It was preserved, and now it is just magnificent. Let's go back up to Kim, and she must have had one incredible view. Kim?
I had the best seat in the house, and I also have the best seat right now because The wind, as I said before, is blowing out of the southwest. Give it to the meteorologist to pick the perfect location, because if you notice, it's not all that dusty where I am. It's all behind me, because the wind is blowing to the southwest over to the northeast. So all of it is being carried away from us. We're still getting some of it, but it's still not as bad as certainly what most of folks are getting, especially down below us. We're told that there are some police cars that are completely covered with dust and debris. And the winds have calmed down, which is actually now, we wish they would pick back up again to get this cleared out of here a little bit faster. But right now the winds are for the most part calm. And you can barely make out the building behind us. And that's it. Other than that, as I look down below, it's just a bunch of dust. In fact, sitting on this ledge of the First National Building is almost like looking out of an airplane window. It's just complete clouds, and it's just dust. You can't see anything else here, but it was very exciting to watch it come down. We were actually keeping our eye here on the flagpole at the top of the building. We were making bets on whether it would come straight down or whether it would actually lean forward. And in fact, since the southwest side of the building blew first, the flagpole, in fact, did start to lean toward that part of the building. So again, most of the dust is behind us and being carried off to the northeast, and the wind is picking up now about 15 miles per hour.
All right, Kim, thank you very much. We're back on the top of the apartment deck here in the Monroe Block across the street from the Athenaeum Hotel. I can confess that I expected to see and hear Hudson's Fall. I didn't expect to taste it.
No, you're not kidding.
We've all been kissed by the Hudson's building.
I guess so.
Well, it was like kissing an ashtray.
Yeah, I don't want to kiss it again.
We fully expected there to be a little bit of dust, but we expected most of the dust to go that way. We didn't expect to be doing Lawrence from Arabia.
This is just unbelievable.
Yes, here, just to give you an idea, just a pat on the shoulders, we look like something from the inside of someone's attic. Joining us is Gary Glazer. Gary is a filmmaker who put together what I think is one of the most lovingly crafted documentaries I have seen in some time.
Thank you so much.
About this building behind us. Capture for us, if you will. We know that it was an incredible and a city within itself. But what was the ambiance? What was the magic of Hudson's?
It was, I think, one thing, Guy, it would be the level of service. I think it's unparalleled in terms of department stores, how they would take care of you there. I mean, it's legendary, the stories of you could buy a spool of thread there. And if it was, you know, and they would, of course, deliver that spool of thread to you free of charge the next day in the big green truck. And if the spool of thread wasn't the right shade, they'd come back the next day and get that spool of thread. So just one example of the tremendous amount of service, hearkening back to when retailing was different in terms of the way people were treated in stores.
You sad today?
Yes, I am a little bit. I was mixed emotions. Obviously very excited at the physical spectacle of it, but when I actually saw it start to go down, I was struck with a sudden sadness, I must say.
I think that probably, I can't say everybody was, but I know I was as I watched it. I remember coming down, not shopping a lot here, but coming down at Thanksgiving time for the Thanksgiving Day parade and seeing Santa. But I think to see a building like that come down the way it did, it made you sad, even as you were happy thinking about the future.
That's right.
It just
I
was
absolutely
an
agree.
issue of sadness.
We should point out to those that are worried about this dust cloud that the entire asbestos content in that building had been taken out, that the only fear was that there might be a tiny bit of lead, but even that they assured us was minute.
Right.
And so we should put anybody's fears...
it was more than I expected in terms... Do you agree?
Yeah. Very much so. We have the mayor of Detroit standing by here. We all, for a moment there, when we broke away from you, put on respirators because the dust was quite thick. It was heavy. You can see Joanne's here. They were necessary for just a moment. We were prepared, as were most of the people here.
I think people were surprised, Guy, by the amount of dust that came up here. I think the way the wind was blowing, I think that this far away, people thought that maybe they would be okay in a little bit of dust. But truly, as you saw there, the dust cloud came out, the debris, everything instantly, and it just, I think the wind helped move it very quickly to the areas where people were gathered.
And joining us is Mayor Dennis Archer. There may be some concerns, anybody watching at home that sees this amount of dust coming out of an old building, that there may be some bad things in there. That was all checked out ahead of time.
You should remember, because I think you all reported on it, that there were a number of lawsuits that were filed against the city of Detroit dealing with the issue of environmental impact studies. And every one of them were checked out. Every one of them were given an A-OK, because we did not want, even if the wind was calm, we did not want to have any harmful ingredients or particles in the air, because we knew it was going to be dusty. You're looking at a building It was 2.2 million square feet. And it was one of the best constructed buildings you could ever find. I mean, it's the largest steel structured building ever imploded anywhere. And so we knew we were going to have a lot of dust and debris. So they did a very good job in cleaning everything out. So we told everybody it was going to be dusty. As we look now at the aftermath and we look behind us, we see that things appear to have gone the way we wanted them to go.
It appears the people mover escaped relatively unscathed. There is some sort of debris on top. I've got to confess, it's kind of hard to see the screen because of the dust that was on it, and also because of the vantage point of the sun now. But it appears that they handled the major problem, which was, and they brought down the entire thing. We were led to expect that there might be a few floors that didn't come down because of the way they set the charges. But
no, everything came down, and also the interesting thing is that within minutes after the blast, I don't know how they were able to determine, but Al Martin came to me and said, people movers A-OK.
Are you serious?
I'm
Did
serious.
He give you
I don't know. He came in to see me.
Well, they had sensors on it, so perhaps that was how they got the instant feedback. But that's
I believe it's still going to be closed, though, for probably a week, Mayor, to just check it out.
Make sure that not only check it out, but you've got to move the debris away, because when you bring all of that down, clearly there's going to be stuff under it, and maybe stuff up against the pillars. It will all be checked. But if things went the way I anticipate that they did go, you'll have the debris against it, knock it off, and remember, they put tarps over it.
You see a great future when you look out there, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
And
nice and bright.
When will the future start? We know that it will take at least a year to clear all the debris, but I know the campus marches.
5 to 6 months. We'll have that down. We'll have that debris gone before we get to the summer.
All right. Kern Woodward, Associates, the campus
Bobby Showstack's right out there right now. He and his brother, we've been talking about our next trip to get us a new department store down here.
Okay.
We've already been after one, and now we're going after another.
And I know better than to ask about the names, because
you got it.
You have a problem with the... Yeah. See what happens when I ask it?
Just do me a favor. At Channel 7, would you get me a copy of this coverage? I'd like to. I mean, I was here and I didn't get a chance to see it.
I would be more than happy.
And I saw you were up in the air and everything, so you got the best visuals in America, so let me get a copy.
and I'll make sure that we have that on tape, too.
Thank you.
One quick question. When might we see the next big announcement coming from the campus marches people?
Oh, I would think that as things begin to develop, we're looking probably after the first of the year.
All right. Well, that will be a nice way to end the millennium, won't it?
Yes, it will.
All right.
Thank
you, Mayor.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we need to tell you about our upcoming coverage at 7 o'clock here on Action News. We'll be bringing you live Team 7 coverage of all of the events today as the dust settles, and we'll probably have a better vantage point of it at that time.
It is amazing to look at those pictures, isn't it, where that building once stood for over 100 years, really now just a pile of rubble, but many feet of rubble out there. And it will take 5 to 6 months, the mayor says, to clear all of this, and I'm sure the work will begin shortly.
And thank you so much for joining us on this dusty Saturday afternoon. We have hoped you have found this interesting, if not enjoyable, and we'll be back with more at 7 o'clock here on Channel 7.
Take care. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.